Next up, we have Chris Demetriou from the London Borough of Islington, and this man is a doer. He takes big stuff and makes it decarbonised or something.
Thanks for the introduction, John. Always nice to see you, and I can't believe how tall you are in real life, really. You're like a real EV superhero, so no, thank you. Thank you.
It's real. Let them know.
There was a film about us, wasn't it? I'm Chris Demetriou. I'm the Assistant Director of Corporate Fleet Transport and Accessible Community Transport at Islington. I was saying to Andrew earlier, I've been there for 22 years. I was only meant to be there for 2 weeks until I got a proper job, so I'm still looking for that proper job. Nah, not really. I love it, really. So what we're doing in Islington to sort of decarbonise our fleet. So we're that sort of little red dot on the screen there, so we're about 2 miles north of where we're sitting today. We're the second smallest local authority in London. We're only 6 square miles, so electrification absolutely works for us, or it does for at least sort of 60% of the fleet anyway. We've got a population of around 260,000. We declared, like many other local authorities, a climate emergency in 2019, and that followed about a year later with our Vision 2030 strategy, which incorporate everything we're doing across the council in terms of net zero, including transport. We've made an environmental decision to electrify our fleet, and our fleet's around 540 vehicles, but we are actively trying to reduce that fleet as well. Bit of a stat just beneath that sort of point there. Our local hospital, the Whittington Hospital, has seen an increase of around 30% of children being treated in hospital with respiratory problems, and that was a stat was taken in August. So this is not a climate emergency, it's a health one as well, so don't forget that. So we've invested around £38 million to decarbonise our fleet. That's more than double than what we had thought in 2019. The reason that, because we know simply at the moment electric vehicles almost cost double what an ICE vehicle does. And on top of that, we've got a £6 million infrastructure investment as well. So with our 540 vehicles, we know it accounts for sort of 2.3 of CO2 emissions in the borough, and hopefully by 2030 that CO2 will be reduced just by sort of 3,000 tonnes per annum. And at the moment we've got 95 electric battery vehicles, which is around 20% of the fleet, so we're saving around 600 tonnes of emissions at the moment. So where did our journey begin? Sort of 20 years ago, really. So that sort of van on the sort of top left there was the Citroën Berlingo Electrique. I think I was the only one who actually liked that vehicle and drove it. You can do 60 miles in it, I think, and there was also a petrol cap to the side, just in case you run out of sort of battery, you can put a few litres in it and get yourself back. But yeah, just a number of vehicles there that we've sort of built up in the early days. Simpler times then, you just sort of plug it into a 13-amp plug and away you go. So sort of post-2019, we went large, really. So we started buying or procuring the bigger stuff, really. And why did we do that? Because we know these are the vehicles that cause us or create, you know, the most emissions in the borough. So we've got electric sweepers now, we've got electric cage tippers, we've got fully accessible buses. We were one of the first local authorities to get that sort of dust cart or that refuse collection vehicle at the bottom there, the Dennis E-Collect, and we're also moving now to sort of more active travel, including EAV cargo bikes, and we've got several of them on the fleet as well. Yeah, I think we've heard it mentioned before, you can't really get electric vehicles unless you get your charging absolutely spot on. It's almost impossible to get chargers and electric vehicles in tandem, so one will always be sort of come before the other. At the moment, we're in a good place. We've got more chargers and vehicles, and at our main depot, which is also our waste recycling centre, we've got around 34 AC and DC chargers at the moment to charge, which can charge 48 vehicles at the same time. And we've got a number of other locations across the borough, council sites, where we've installed both DC and AC chargers, and they've all been done by sort of our partners, Joju Solar. So again, just talking about our waste and recycling centre, and the reason I've sort of focused on that is because that's sort of our main hub, and we've got 230 vehicles that sort of live there overnight, really. So that work alone has cost us sort of 5.2 million. So it is a huge investment that we've made. That includes a new high voltage connection, a standalone substation, EV hardware and the installs. We did get a bit of funding from the Greater London Authority, so for the Grid Growth Fund bid, or fund, that was £1.5 million. And we based lots of these figures on a study carried out by UKPN in sort of 2020. We've gone from 1250 kVA to just under 3,500 kVA now, with a time connection of 2,600 kVAs during the day. That was the max that UKPN would allow us. If we did want to charge all of our 200 plus vehicles in the future, we would need 7,500 kVA, but again, there's no intention to charge 200 vehicles at any one time. EV chargers of various capacities will be installed as we get more electric vehicles through the door. So again, a mixture of AC and DC based on the vehicles and the telematics and how these vehicles are used currently and how we think they're going to be used in the future. And arguably, we might just have now possibly the largest indoor charging station in England. For how long, I don't know, but again, everyone here is welcome to come and see it in person if they choose to as well. What else are we doing? We want to create a microgrid within our sort of waste recycling centre. So what we think we'll have when we have electrified these 200 vehicles is around 23 megawatt hours of energy sitting in these vehicles, and me and the team are desperate to see how we can use that energy across the building, across the grid, or however we want to do really. So we're working with our energy teams at the moment to incorporate sort of solar panels on our roof, energy storage systems. We do want that sort of V2G, V2X solution in the future, with our utopia being that sort of microgrid. Just some comparisons on stats as well. You don't get a lot of this data really, and this is like real life data from what we're seeing in our electric vehicles. What we do now is our standard diesel RCVs, or refuse collection vehicles, use around 17,000 litres of diesel per annum. That equates to around 45 tonnes of CO2, so with the 6 current RCVs we've got, that's 270 tonne reduction per annum. And again, some maintenance costs there, which again, you don't always see, but the top one there, the VA19 KKH registration, just did under 10,000 kilometres in a year, and it cost us around just under £7,000 in parts and services. And the electric dust cart we've got beneath there cost us 1,370. So you can see the cost savings of going electric. Just a few more comparisons there as well. A cage tipper, again, is it a fair comparison comparing a 10-year-old diesel truck versus one? Probably not, but again, these are the stats, and this is what I'm putting out there ultimately. So again, it's a couple of grand cheaper running that electric cage tipper. And then just below, there's another graph there with other cage tipper comparisons based on mileage and again, fuels. So the future, if anyone's ever seen a presentation by Ben Page at Ipsos Mori, who's a chief executive, would say never make predictions, but in any case, I'm going to do that anyway. So what we have seen the last 20 years versus now, versus the next 20 years in terms of EVs are going to be completely different. And we hope battery technology will improve, and no doubt it will in the next few years. We're already seeing a move away from the expensive and earth-depleted minerals such as lithium, cobalt, nickel, and what so on. We're seeing Tesla use a lot of the LFP batteries in some of their sort of models. I've bought 2 electric RCVs that will be with me hopefully by the end of the month. They've got LFP batteries, so we're all getting a bit more aware of batteries and the components really. What we're going to see in the future, we hope we're going to see more sodium-ion batteries, more solid-state batteries. Again, we've seen removable battery swapping stations in Thailand on 2-wheelers. Could that be a thing here? We're hoping it could be. We've seen wireless charging trials go on in Nottingham and other sort of local authorities. Again, we've upcycled 2 dust carts over the last couple of years. We've got 4 more coming. I'm about to go to procurement to upcycle around 45 buses that we've got. So why can't we upcycle more passenger cars, more different types of vehicles I know it's probably something manufacturers don't want to hear, but again, it fits that whole circular economy, and we're keen to upcycle as much as we can. We will see V2G or V2X advances once CCS comes into the market in 2025. So we want to sort of tap into that as well, like I said earlier, trying to create that microgrid. And we've heard about hydrogen earlier this afternoon as well. For us, it might not be the solution, but potentially it's another solution for the industry. So let's see how that works. Thank you. Cheers.